Hello everybody, welcome all, thank you for joining us here. We've just started qualifying and it is round 15 of GRL Season 4 Division 3 and we get ready to settle in for qualifying here at the American Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. 28 lap race to follow and we'll get in to some action, I'm sure, very soon as we wait for the first car to leave the pits. 20 corners here at the circuit this evening, 11 to the left, 9 to the right, 2 DRS zones, 5.513 kilometres or 3.426 miles, and miles is what we'll probably be using today as we are in America. First Grand Prix held here, well not here specifically, but held in America back in 1959, and that was at the notorious Sebring circuit. A little wobble there for Funky Fidget as he exits the pits, rounding turn 1 on his outlap for the first time. Quite a few of them have jumped out onto track fairly sharpishly, got their setups all ready to go, and they are indeed set to set their fastest lap times. And we are going to work out where this grid is going to be lining up, who's going to be lining up where, who's going to take pole position, and who's going to be lining up in P19 at the back. Nice full grid here today, 19 drivers as you can see on the display there. So we're going to have some action hopefully all the way up and down the grid, as that looks like a little bit of a visual issue there down the back straight towards turn 12. As the Williams makes his way round. Who will be our first flying run of this evening? It looks as though it's one of the Alpines. Who is that going to be is the question. It's not Mr. Pikachu. It is instead going to be... Is it Maldo? It's not even Maldo. Who is it? It's one of the Williams then, isn't it? Oh god, are we going to find it before we get going? It's Wheat. Wheat is the first to set a flying lap here at Austin, up the hill towards T1, yellow flag, sector 3, nice wide exit, clip that apex and use all of the exit as well. Turn 2 and 3 here, sort of made in honour of the Senna S's at Brazil, the American track here in Austin, absolutely made out of, well, various sections of track from other famous circuits. The section we just gone through sort of modelled after Maggots and Beckett's from the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, and then you do have a section here all to itself, the two little straight here, but the long straight through T11, nice hairpin corner, good chance to overtake, but you're probably not going to want to do it because you want to line it up to get the DRS down the back straight here, down towards T12, and it is a very long straight here indeed, very easy chance to overtake your rival if you have the DRS, but if they have it as well, they can quite easily defend, and you can bet it gets a little hairy down into T12 there sometimes. Now we make our way through sort of 13-14 complex. This is sort of modelled after the Hockenheim Stadium section in Germany. And now we get to one of the best corners of the track and probably of the circuit, a triple header. Here we go, 3 apex is going to be hit, 1, well 2 definitely going to be hit, almost 3 I think, modelled after Istanbul's Park in Turkey. Turn 8 as he's gone wide, FGE Witt has managed to find his way into the gravel trap of turn 19, and that's going to be his lap ruined, and he's not going to finish that in a good time at all, but wide there from CF23, he makes his way into the pits, so still no time set here, as Wheat also made his way into the pits as well. So, no time actually being set just yet. Let's see if we can ride on board with Funky Fidget just before. Nope, he's still not set a time. It's going to be one of the Alpines that sets a time then. It's going to be Maldo, F1, setting a 1:33.6. That's the gauntlet to beat, and it already has been beaten. I don't know what to call him. Eul. Oh god, what do I call you? It's going to be fun to figure out this evening. Dom in the Haas manages to qualify P2 currently, so it's a 1:33.4. So the time to beat as Ollie crosses the line. He's also new for me, as I have had a 2-week hiatus. I do apologise for that. I've not been able to bring you coverage of the Division 3 here for GRL. Week 1 I was deathly sick, I think I had the flu, and week 2 was my wedding anniversary, so I absolutely celebrated that with my wife. Much more important things to be doing. But we are back after a 2-week holiday, 2-week hiatus, whatever you want to call it. And we will be bringing you live coverage now, hopefully for the rest of the season. 5 races left to go in this season, and the championship, I believe, is hotting up quite well. Oh dear. Oh god, that's a lot of information you've thrown at me there. Funky's a newcomer. F50 Max is a newcomer. Have we got an F50 Max on the... Oh, yeah, there he is. He's in the Alfa Romeo. Should we ride on board with him? 2 newcomers then for this evening. The likes of... and it's... I'm trying to get... I've been given notes here. Funky's a newcomer. F50 Max as we ride on board here in his Alfa Romeo. He's a newcomer. He's going to be setting his first flying run. Where's he going to be in all of this? And he's qualified at the back for the moment, but he's not far off the guys ahead. So, lap times will continue to tumble as the track is bedded in and rubbered in. Asun Basha in the Red Bull, setting the time to beat for now. That's a 1:32.7. As MLC, Lando Norris. Oh my god, there's so much going on in that name. Should we just... Oh no, what do we go with? EULR, that's obviously a racing league, so it could be... It's McLaren Lando Norris 4, that's for sure. Let's be real with that one. Should we just call him MCL? He's in a Ferrari though, so he's not McLaren. We'll call him MCL for now. He's a reserve, and Maldo F1 is also reserve. Okay, so we've got a few reserve drivers in here this evening. That's alright, that's no problem. They get their opportunity to show what they're made of and hopefully impress some people for next season. You can call me MCL. I certainly will be calling you MCL. I think that's the easiest way to go for this one. Unless something happens, you might get a nickname, but for now, MCL. Al topping once again. He's currently sitting P3 of a 1:33 dead. And boosted not far behind with a 1:33.1, who is currently on a lap. I think Dracaris here is on a lap in the Ferrari. He's set a purple first sector by the looks of things. So is he on to take the provisional pole away from the Red Bull? If he can keep up the pace, it looks as though he certainly could be. It's a little squirrely out of turn 11 there, but that's alright. It's not going to cost him too much time, that. I think he should be okay. Now, making his way down towards turn 12. Williams weaving in the back. They're trying to warm up his tyres just a little bit, preparing for his flying run. Now, through the complex of 13, 14, the nice little complex of corners here, as I say, modelled after Hockenheim, and I do quite enjoy that. Turn, I think it's turn 15 there, turn 16, that left-hander, you can definitely catch some drivers unaware, making your way through that portion of the track. And yeah, if you do catch them unaware, you can definitely get some positions made up as well. It's a very nice little corner to do so. As we now round the final corner, turn 20, what's it going to be? It's a 1:33.2. It's not quite provisional pole, but it's not a bad effort either. Where's that put him for the minute? It has, I think he invalidated the lap by the looks of it. He hasn't actually set a lap yet, so that was an invalidation there. I did think that as he went through turn 19, watching him, I thought, well, he's gone a bit wide here. That could be his time gone, and I was right. It is gone. He hasn't set a time at all just yet. So only the top 10 then to set some times. It looks as though we've got some penalties being taken for qualifying. Got some qualifying bans there. Both the McLarens looks as though they're serving a penalty, as well as Corey in the Haas. Now, if my memory served me, I always thought Corey was in the Aston Martin. I think maybe he dropped down to a reserve driver, hence he is... Corey's going for last to first, he's saying to me. So we'll see how that pans out for him. I wish you the best of luck, and if you do pull it off, you absolutely will be earning my driver of the day. So I do wish you the best of luck in that attempt. So, riding on board now with Funky Fidget once again, still yet to set a lap time, and I wonder if he's just warming up those tyres, making his way round. It looks as though he's definitely on a call-up. That's a little bit tight and tense there between him and the Aston Martin. And who is that? That's Mr. CF in the Aston Martin. He's on an outlap, so he's warming everything up, getting it all up to temperature. and he's going to be on his push lap in just 1 moment's time. As I think Maka here is actually on a flying lap, made his way through sector 1 down towards turn 11. Nice hairpin. Got to get it all neat and tidy, because now you've got the longest straight of the track and you want to get a good exit out of there, because that is where you can make or break a lot of time and can make or break your lap. DRS open there, the little flap in the back of wing of the car gives you about an extra 12 kilometers an hour top speed over your competitors who don't have that. So that's what enables you to get some overtaking done, or at least get alongside enough to enable an overtake. And I think that's where F1 needs to be heading. You don't want any of these easy push to pass sort of moves that we see nowadays. It seems as though they've got the move done before they ever get to the next corner, and that's not what the idea was. It was to get up alongside, as MCL now sets the fastest time, a 1:32.6. He takes provisional pole away from Basher. What can Maka do? Maka now takes P2, a 1:32.651, just a couple of tenths shy, not a couple of hundredths shy of MCL in that Ferrari. That's a brilliant lap there from Maka as well. He'll be disappointed he didn't set it a little bit sooner to take the provisional pole, but I think he'll be delighted to be currently on the front row. And so that's a very good lap from him there. I think now we're getting into the end of qualifying. 6.5 minutes remain, and those who still haven't set a lap time obviously need to do so, and it'll be interesting to see how that shakes things up and around, as Sonic Pikachu now sets a lap at 1:32.692, another few hundredths of a second between him, P2 and P1. So looks as though the lap times are fairly close to one another. This could be a very interesting race as we come now into the crunching end of qualifying. But that's another spectacular lap there from Pikachu in the Alpine, and it's a shame he hasn't been able to sort of turn up to every event. I think he definitely would have been in the championship hunt, as Lawn now in that other Mercedes sets a very good time, and never mind, Bash is taking it back, taking it by a storming 0.3 of a second as well. There's your provisional pole man then, and I wonder, have they got enough time to get out, to get around, come back in and potentially go for one final pushed run before the end of this qualifying session. 13 drivers have now set a lap time, and the gap from P1 to P13 currently sits at 1.4 seconds, so a little bit over a second there obviously between the top and the bottom. But not everybody has set a lap time just yet, so we could hopefully see that gap shrink potentially a little bit, as I'm sure, like I say earlier, the track should be getting rubbered in more and more all the time, and lap time should begin to tumble further and further as we go deeper into qualifying. Yeah, your P2 and P3 made their way into the pits, so they'll be preparing for one final run and one final push before they get going again. Oh, well done to Corey. I've been informed he won last time out, so congratulations to him. And he was hoping to potentially go for the win today, but a quali ban has unfortunately scarpered his chances potentially. But we've seen crazier things here. We've seen wins from the back of the grid before. It's not out of the question. Anything can happen. And if you ask me, it normally does, as Lawn has retired from qualifying. That's his qualifying done, currently sitting P5, and I wonder if anybody's behind him is going to make an improvement. I think a couple of them could certainly do that, and that could see Lawn drop down the grid order a couple of positions before the end of qualifying. That's not what the Red Bull team want. Who's that? Who's having to wait there? Is it Marcelo, or is it's Marcelo? Marcelo having to wait for his teammate Basher, and is that going to ruin his chances to get out and get another lap in? I don't think it will. 3.5 minutes to go. Plenty of time to get out and get a lap done, but it could be tight towards the end of it to make sure you actually get on that lap. As I think we'll trade the pit lane for some on-track action. We're right on board here with Ollie77. New driver, as I say, for me. And I think he was here last time out, but unfortunately I wasn't. But he is now making his way on his outlap in the AlphaTauri. And we'll see what sort of pace he's got for his final flying run. A 1:33 dead so far for Ollie here, and that is absolutely a respectable lap time, nothing to sniff at. And like I say, he's only really a few tenths off of really getting into that sort of top 5, so everything's still to play for a lot of these drivers, and it really does get into the crunch time now as we go into the final. What is it, 3 minutes, as we see a yellow flag in sector 3. And I think that could be Maldo F1. It's 2.5 minutes, even less than I predicted. There we are. But we now see Maldo F1 on his flying run. He's made his way through turn 11, now charging down towards turn 12. And that is the red light flashing on the back of his car. I wonder, is this a slow cool down lap, or is this him building up another lap to yeah, he's 7 seconds down. So I wonder, is this his qualifying done, or is he just biding his time to get ready to go for another lap? As I am not 100% sure. I tell you what we will do then. We'll follow on board with Ollie 77. He definitely is on a flying run, and he's now going to be coming up very fast to the Ferrari up ahead. Let's make sure that Ferrari gets out of the way. Right on board with Ollie then, through this lovely sector here of sector 1. Yeah, the Ferrari neatly gets out of the way as Wheat has retired from qualifying. He currently sits P14. And he won't drop much more as there goes Ollie's round. He's in the wall. And I think that's his qualifying done. I know that's his qualifying done. Just lit the rears up a little bit too much there on the exit of turn 11. And, well, you saw what happened. He's binned it into the wall. He's lost the end plate. But that, more importantly, he's lost his final chance to get a lap in to see if he could improve up the order. So that is Ollie 77's qualifying done. That's P10 currently for him. And we wait to see where he will end up in the grand scheme of things. But as I predicted, Maldo F1 was on a warm-up lap there. So I think he might have had 2 warm-up laps even to see if he can get those tyres within the temperature that he wants. But he's now currently on a push lap, absolutely. And he is now firing his way down towards turn 12. I seem to be cutting to a lot of them in turn 12. I don't seem to be catching many of them through that first sector. I'm sure we'll see plenty of it during the race, and I'm sure we can cut on board to one of the guys before we get to the end of this qualifying and see them fly through sector 1. We saw someone earlier, I can't remember who I was on board with earlier, but we have seen it. We'll see more of it, don't you worry. I don't just like Sector 2 and 3, I do like Sector 1 as well. If anything, I think Sector 1's one of the more enjoyable sectors to watch. And let's hope his teammate doesn't hold him up. As there's, whoa, what? Whoa! What happened there? And, well, they're teammates as well. What the hell just happened there? Well, that's Maldo out of F1, out of qualifying. That was very bizarre, wasn't it? Well, should we run on board then with Mr. CF23? Here he is, through Sector 1 then. Very tight, twisty section of corners. You really need to nail them in order to get your lap time nailed as well. And he's 3 tenths up currently in Sector 1, and he's got his teammate up ahead. So I hope he's not going to catch him too much, otherwise this could really hamper his qualifying performance. And as it looks as though 3 tenths up, he could be on a good run here as he now makes his way down into T11 through the tight apex. He's definitely going to have a nice run down this back straight as he's going to be picking up the slipstream of the guys ahead. DRS is going to be wide open. If I flick this little switchback, yeah, look at it, there it is, wide open on the back wing. Now down towards T12, tricky braking zone, got to get it right, don't cut it too much and don't spin it, that's not what you want. Round Mr. CF23 goes. We'll continue then on board with his teammate Al in the other Aston Martin as MLC crosses the line. He's P2 currently, Pikachu P4 as it stands, Basher still holding provisional pole, and so far he is pole position as Dracarys out of nowhere pops up into P2 in the other Ferrari. Maka P4 currently. Maka P2 currently. What is going on? F50 Max, he's P5. Pikachu 6th. Dom 7th. Lawn drops down to 8th after all that. Al can only manage 9th position. Micello brings it into the pitch. He will start P10. And unfortunately for CF23, he will not be setting a faster time. He will start in P14. Followed by the Williams of Funky Fidget in P15. There we are. There's your qualifying results then for Division 3. And Basher takes a commanding, I say commanding, it wasn't so commanding by the end of it. He takes pole position by a tenth of a second from Maka in that Mercedes. Can we finally see a Red Bull Mercedes battle here at Austin? We hoped for it in real life, well, let's hope for it in the race here virtually. But Pikachu's going to pick up a 5-place grid penalty. I think that was contact with somebody. I did see it, and I got infatuated by the fact that his teammate hit him over that. So that kind of took precedent at that moment. But Basher, congratulations, pole position for him in that Red Bull. Enough of Red Bull pole positions this year to sink a battleship. But Maka takes P2 in the Mercedes. Dracaris out of nowhere in that Ferrari. P3 his teammate MCL in P4, F50 Max P5 in the Alfa Romeo. Good result for him. Pikachu Alpine for 6th, Haas Dom, that's 7th. Lawn in the Mercedes P8. Al and Micello make 9 and 10. That is your top 10, and you can quickly see there the rest of the grid. You'll see him again very shortly as we then get into into the race itself. But we've now got a couple of minutes. We've been given the green light in 3 minutes' time. So we've got 3 minutes between now and we're going green to get some lovely facts in. Welcome to my notebook time. This is the best time of all. If you don't believe me, then fair enough. Absolutely, Corey. We'll try and get some overtakes in on the stream here. That's what we aim to do. We aim to please. We aim to entertain. And I do hope I give it my best. And I do hope you enjoy listening to me as I watch over people race cars around virtually on a screen for you. But either way, it's enjoyable for me, so I hope it's enjoyable for you too. But for pole position, so Basher, he's got 250 metres roughly from his starting position up to the braking point of T1, and he's going to be having to watch that inside line from Maka in the Mercedes. It's a very wide entry into T1. It's very inviting for a lot of cars to just outbrake the guy in front of you, put the car in a position where they can't turn in, and just sort it out on the exit, and you'll get that position done. It's a block pass is what they like to call it, and you can absolutely do that and send it into T1. So expect potentially some carnage, but also expect some overtakes as we do go up the hill in towards T1. But as I was saying to you earlier, a lot of these corners have been sort of modelled after other famous, tracks and corner profiles. But also, I did find that this is one of the hilliest tracks on the F1 calendar. It's got a difference of 30.9 metres between the lowest and highest points. And I thought Spa was, I think Spa is absolutely the hilliest, as it is well known that is. But I didn't realise this was so hilly and up and undulating. It did take me by surprise. But anyway, we move forward. First race held here back in 2012, and I remember watching it fondly. I had a great time watching it, and it was one of those races where we got to see Max Verstappen fight for the win over Sebastian Vettel in his prime. So that was a fantastic race to watch. From memory, but we've had lots of action on track here since then as well. Designed, of course, here by Herman Tilke, and this being back in 2012 when it was designed was the aim for F1 to finally return to the United States, and return it has done. We've now got 3 races here in the US, Miami and Las Vegas included amongst them as well. And when I was thinking about this earlier, I have to work out, how many corners there are, how many are to the left, how many are to the right. And as I went through it in my mind, it came across to me that all 3 of the US tracks are actually an anti-clockwise circuit, just confirming that Americans can only turn left. But anyway, here we go. I hope that you enjoyed that. There's 4 lights, there's 5. When are they going to go? Oh, they held for quite a long time, but that looks to be a great start there for the Mercedes and Maka as they make their way up the hill for the first time. I think maybe Basher got a better second phase, but Maka, there's a little bit of contact there, but actually it's looking very clean up and down the field. Positions being gained left and right for different people, but Basher made it out alive in P1, Maka P2, Dom made his way all the way up to P3. What a start from him and that Haas. Dracaris down to P4, but I don't know if it will stay there for very long. He's been looking very racy, and already, ow, where's he come from? What has happened? There was a big change of positions there, and I don't quite know what's gone on. Dom's now found his way all the way at the back of the grid. I think maybe he had a bit of a tangling with someone, but your big winner in all of that is definitely going to be Al. Al, I think he's made his way from P10 all the way up into P3 in just a few corners from starting the Grand Prix. That was insane. Right, here we go. Look at that, 5 places gained. Okay, he was P8 at the start, but 5 places gained for him there. And Maldo F1 also having a great start to his Grand Prix. He's managed to pick up 6 positions, currently sitting there in P7. But Al now looking up the inside of Maka. There it is. There's that move I was talking about. He's definitely making use of those the medium compound of tyre. Maybe that's how he's got such a good start to this Grand Prix. I think Basher and Maka opted to go for the harder compound here, going for the longevity over the initial raw pace of the softer compounds that you can go for. And Al has now made his way up into P2. What a fantastic start from him. Basher now setting the fastest lap as the first lap of this race. Ours made up 6 positions, as I say. There goes Dracaris up into P3. He's on the soft compound tyre, so he's really gone for an all-out attack here at the beginning. But he's somehow lost out to Al there, who's on technically a slower compounded tyre, as we've now already picked up our first penalty for this evening. I expect a few more of those to come about, as this is one of those circuits where corner cutting can be easy to do. I know that all too well. But hopefully we won't see too many, and hopefully that will not dictate much of the racing here. Dracaris having a little look there down the inside of Al, and potentially trying to pick a position as Basher runs wide. Now look what we've got. Al making his way into the lead. Dracaris also making his way into the lead. They're going to make it 3 wide here before a virtual safety car is deployed. And what has happened there? I think Ollie's had a DNF. It looks as though he spun it out of T9 at the top of the hill before you make your way down towards T11, the little kink of 10. And it is easy to do there, I will admit. But, well, down that back straight, they were going to go 3 wide, and it was a shame we never got to see how it played out under braking. But virtual safety car been deployed, and Dracaris is now your leader, followed by Al, Basher and Maka. As I say, Maka and Basher, they are on a harder compounded tyre, along with MCL in that Ferrari as well, also on the harder compounded tyre. Maldo, there you go, that explains why he's got such a great start, as the safety car is in, and my word, that is wide. What is that all about? That's opened the door, though, to Micello. He's going to go up the inside, and he'll say, thank you very much for doing that. That's an easy position for me. But I think the fight is going to continue down towards T1. There's a weave left there from the Ferrari. Who was that? That was MCL. Almost causing a big collision there. And he's now dropping down the grid. I wonder what's happened. Has he had a bit of a knock on the front wing? No, he hasn't. But I think the sort of weaving left and right there sort of really called him off guard in a way. That's a lovely angle, look at that. And now he's going to try and get back past that McLaren of Wrexham, who took the opportunity, as did a load of others, making their way up the grid here. But it looks as though Dracaris is now eking out a little bit of a gap further up. I think we'll take off the position gains here. We'll go back to just the times. And we've now got a full safety car. And that will bring the likes of CF back into this race, who looks as though he's just done a pit stop. Wheat has retired from this, as well as you. What happened to MCL? What happened there? I didn't quite see it. I didn't quite pick that up. I missed that under all the excitement of what was going on. What has gone on? I don't quite know. Maybe we'll get a response in the chat. From MCL, as what happened to him just there. Didn't quite see it or pick it up, but he's brought the safety car out. I'm assuming it was another one of those things over the corner of turn 9. And as I say, it is easy to sort of not mess it up, but you can just, the car just gets away from you as you go over the rise of the hill. And then as you come back down, I guess the front gets a bit light. And then it picks up grip all of a sudden, and then it can easily fire you off, and the rears just don't want to sort of comply and keep with. So we're going to see a few cars now diving into the pit. Maldo is one of them. So is Micello, and I'm curious to see what pit strategy Micello's going for. He started on the hard compounded tyre. He's going to opt for the medium compound. I think maybe 2 sets of mediums will absolutely get him to the end now. But he now makes his way back out. He's going to be at the back of the grid here. So is Maldo, but Maldo started on that fresher soft tyre. And I think this could play well into his strategy in a way. Funky Fidget also opted in to the pits and has now also gone onto that medium compounder tyre. Do you know what I've just realised? I've just realised if I look in the top right hand corner I can see what tyre everybody's on without actually having to look at the side of the car, and boy now do I feel like an idiot. But me being an idiot aside, that makes this life so much easier for me. Oh my god, I've just realised that. That's bloody ridiculous. Oh dear. Anyway, there we go. Dracaris is your current leader after 4 laps of this Grand Prix. He's managed to fight his way from, I think he dropped to 6th after the first couple of corners. He's now made his way all the way back up to into P1. And he got a bit fortunate with the virtual safety car to get that position, I feel, as I think he would have had a very tight line to deal with if the racing was, you know, green flag conditions. But he's on a technicality, but also on merit of speed, he is quick enough to do it. He currently is your P1 driver. Al also making use of the softer compound tyre to the guys around him. He sits currently in P2. Basher there in P3. He's dropped a couple of places, but he is on that harder compounder tyre. And I didn't see this, but Boosted RB also on the hards, but he's actually managed to make a place up on Macca in that Mercedes. So he's doing very well. F50 Max, first time newcomer, as I believe I was told in the chat. Yep, newcomer here. So's Funky Fidget. So we'll see how the two rookies do on their first outing here. But F50 Max certainly putting on a good spectacle and show here to begin with. He currently sits in P6. And he's potentially trying to bait a few of them to go into the pit. However, I don't think they're going to fall for that. It's a bit obvious at this point. And all you've really done is just put marbles on your tyres. But maybe it's his way of trying to fake out some people and work his strategy a bit better for him. But Rexel in that other McLaren, he starts on the he's on the medium compounded tyre. I think he started way down towards the back of the grid. I think he had a qualifying penalty to start with. There you go, he started P17. He's made up 10 positions here. He's the biggest winner so far. And he's currently sitting P7. Lorne, I think, has sort of stayed relatively where he started. Corey starting from the back, and so's Nolan in the other McLaren. And Corey said in the chat beforehand, he's going to go for the win, I think. And like I said to him, or as I said to you guys earlier, anything can happen. It normally does. So let's see how far he can make it up in this Grand Prix. Currently sits P9. He's gotten over halfway already. So, and I think he's definitely on the right compounded tyre to start this race off in. I think the safety car may have thrown a spanner in the works for a few of the drivers here, but he's certainly on a winning strategy potentially, and he looks as though he's got the pace as well, making up those positions at the start here. As I say, Nolan currently making his way up to P10 from the back, and Dom had an unfortunate incident at the start of this Grand Prix. He currently has now made his way back up into P11, so that's good from him. And it's the same for Pikachu as well, currently sitting P12. Both of them on the... Oh, Dom actually on the medium tyre there. Pikachu on the hard, but there we go. And the rest of them, I believe, have all pitted. So the back four there, 13, 14, 15, they're all on a fresh set of those medium compound tyres. So watch them potentially attack under the safety car restart here. But I think we'll get towards the front of the grid, shall we? Let's see if we can get a move for the lead here. Al virtually pushing along Dracaris, almost alongside him. As we know from real life, that is against the rules. So hopefully he won't go fully alongside, as that could be seen as a punishable offence, but I'm sure he's wise enough not to do so. But you can absolutely get as close as you like, you just can't ride alongside, and you obviously can't overtake. But have they gone? That looks as though they potentially went. Could be seen as a little bit naughty from Dracaris, but I think he may have got away with it, and now they definitely are going to get going. They're under green once again. He darts to the left to try and break the toe from the car behind. Is Al going to have enough speed to potentially launch a move into turn one? No, not quite. And Basher's a bit too far behind as well. Boosted was potentially having a look there, but I think they were spread out a little bit too much. Funky Fidget makes his way past Micello for P14 towards the back of the grid. But you can see now they're already spreading out a little bit already. It can be quite difficult to follow the cars ahead, especially through that first sector. So you could see them spreading out by at least half a second between them before they even make it down towards turn 11, depending on the confidence in the car that they have. And there goes a move for the lead. Ow! Into turn 11. There's a little bit of contact, but as far as I'm concerned, that's all fair. Jakar is trying to ride it around the outside, and they're going to make this a run down towards turn 12. Al now actually ahead, and this is all before DRS has even been activated. Can Drakaris get back alongside? Yes, he can. He's even in the lead, but Al's going to have the inside line for T12. Drakaris once again going to try and run it around the outside. He'll now have the inside line for T13 and 14. And as I say, this is a tricky, twisty section complex. So now Al's going to have the inside line again as we make it from another left-hander. They're switching positions back and forth, left and right, but I think Drakaris is going to have the better run now out of the corner there as Funky Fidget picks up a penalty, and F50 Max has now fallen all the way to the back of the grid. I wonder what's happened right there. That's very wide there from the two out front. Even wider from Drakaris. I think Al may get away with that a little bit, but he's all over the back of the leader here of Drakaris. He looks as though he's going to try and make another move down towards T1. He's got the inside line. And there he goes. Drakaris once again going to try and hold it round the outside, and I think he's going to have the drive potentially. No, little bit of wheel spin. This opens up the door for Basher. Can Basher now think of getting past Drakaris as well on that harder compounded tyre against the soft runner? But I think 7 laps in, I don't know if the tyres are going to be holding out much for Drakaris in the Ferrari on that soft. Race beginning to settle down a little bit, but not really, as there goes Basher potentially up the inside of turn 10. That's not really where you want to do it. But he's under threat from the guys behind. Macca now trying to go round the outside of Boosted. Brilliant side-by-side racing here. Rexel not out of this either. He's now got a good exit out of turn 11 as he's made the move on Macca. He's ahead. He's now up into 5th position. Drakaris dropping to P2. Al hopefully going to try and run away with it as Rexel looks to go round the outside of Boosted. Boosted having none of it closes the door on the exit of turn 12, and fair play and rightly so to him. He wants to defend that position. He's found his way up into P4, and Macca's now dropped down to P6 after all of this. But the top, well, I think everybody down the top 10 is pretty much, you know, behind each other as Corey's now found his way up into P6, P7. He's going side by side with Macca through the triple right-hander. Drakaris picks up a penalty for track limit violations. And I wonder what's going on, but DRS now finally activated. All of this racing going on without the enabling of DRS, but it is active now. So if Drakaris can stick to the back of Al, and the same for Basher, as I'm sure they absolutely will do, you can see now overtakes should begin to be a bit easier for the people down that back straight, as we've now had Funky Fidget and F50 Max pitting in. Coming into the pits, both of the rookie drivers making a pit stop. I wonder if they've had a coming together towards the back of this grid, as I think Max had a bit of a problem there. But he continues nonetheless, and Dom seems to be having a bit of an issue here as well. He's found his way into P14, so losing out as Corey diving up to the inside of Macca into T11. He's thinking he's still going to get the DRS from the guy behind, so if he can get the move done, then that should be an easy position to defend and potentially put his eyes forward and make up another one. But he's made his way up into P6 as Drakaris now makes a move for the lead. There he goes on Al up into P1 once again. He does have a penalty, but Al trying to look to go round the outside there. That's a brave move from him if he could pull that off. Now is he going to switch back to the inside? Not quite. I don't think he's going to have the run on him this time around. I think Al just needs to play it sensibly, play it safe. Corey making another move. He's now up into P5. And for the man that started right down at the back of the grid, he's now found his way into the top 5 of this Grand Prix, and he's only a couple of attempts off of the lead. Last to first challenge for Corey 42 today in that Haas car, as there was a bit of a wiggle there from Macca out of T19. And I think Maldo going to try and make good use of that. What's happened here? We've now had a couple of position changes as Lorne made his way into the pits there. I wonder if something actually happened to cause him to do so. But your leader, Drakaris, once again, followed by Al, Basher, Boosted and Corey and Rexel in that McLaren. Couple of temps separating all of them. And this is absolutely heating up to be one fantastic race. There's action everywhere you look, really. As that's a little bit wide there from Basher in that Red Bull. This is going to open the door up for Boosted RB down through T10 in towards T11. Is he going to potentially look for a move up the inside? Not yet. He's going to wait for the DRS. As Basher has almost fallen out of the DRS zone of the guys ahead. That mistake being costlier than he may have predicted and thought. Corey, is he going to potentially look for a move? I think he's a bit too far back this time around, but Boosted is going to be looking for a move up the inside of Basher in the Red Bull. In the sister team, locks up ever so slightly, but gets the move done, gets it stopped nicely, and makes up another place. He's now up into P3 as Al took a move for the lead once again. So, Dracaris now down into P2, and Al takes the lead. Albeit those two front runners on the slightly softer compounded tyre, so they're not going to be able to run as long into this race as the guys behind them. And the thing is they're not really pulling away either. So I'm wondering if the guys on the supposed slower tyre actually have an advantage here as we go deeper and deeper into this Grand Prix. You would absolutely think so. Corey 42 now, potentially looking to make a move and lining up Basher, the guy ahead of him in that Ferrari. He looks as though he dropped back a couple of tenths again, but still is within that DRS range. So, going to be tricky now for Corey. I think he's caught right up to the pace where he should have been in qualifying, and the moves are going to be a bit harder to pull off. But that looks as though Boosted is potentially going to try and get past Dracaris before they even get towards the DRS detection point and towards the DRS zone. Through Sector 1 now, as Al looks as though he's picked up a penalty. That's not what he wants this afternoon. As we find, as I've just noticed, F50 Max still making his way through the final sector. He's 30 seconds off the guy in front of him, which is P15, so not turning out to be a great race for the rookie this time around, as Fidget picks up another penalty there. So that's also the same sort of thing happening for him as Al goes defensive. Dracaris around the outside. Has he got the move pulled off there? That's fantastic from him. Boosting RB trying to get in on the action. He's looking each and every way to see if he can make a move now past the two guys up ahead. Looking around the outside, I think backed out of it sensibly. Going to go for the better exit over Al in that Aston Martin. But Dracaris are now swapping for the lead once again. As there's contact, there is contact. And Basher, the unfortunate victim of all of that. I think he's lost an end plate. And Corey now makes his way up into P4. I think that's going to be pits, yeah. Basher into the pits. Sensible decision, obviously, for him. That was very unfortunate. I think it was just a ricochet sort of concertina effect from the guys up ahead. It's sort of, you know, one slowed down, and you know, the reaction, the knock-on effect to the guy behind. I think Basher just got caught out. And that's really unfortunate for him. That's dropped him now down to P13. But he's got the pace. He's making his pit stop. So don't count him out of this race. You know, he's now going to be, I believe, into potentially a little bit of clean air down the back there. So potentially look for that undercut from him. And you can absolutely believe the undercut is very effective around here, as he has pitted now onto that medium tyre. I don't know if he'll be going all the way on that medium tyre, but he'll probably be hoping for a safety car. But Dracaris are now fighting for the lead once again. But this is now, I think, where Boosted potentially can have a sniff at getting into the top two podium spots. That was a late move there from Dracaris in the Ferrari. Late defensive move. But I think it's cost him ultimately, as Boosted's now alongside, but will have that outside line. Can he hold it around the outside? Does he have superior grip over that Ferrari, who's got a really 11-lap-old soft tyres? I thought they would have died a few laps ago now, but he's still managing to hold on, and hold on well he is. Boosted RB round the outside of him through the triple right-hander, and Corey now going to potentially try and get in on the action here. Dracaris still fighting, still holding on to P2 just about. Can Corey go up the inside of Boosted in all of this? Yes, he can. And the Haas driver in that American-owned team has now found his way onto the podium from the back of the grid. He's actually provisionally leading the Grand Prix once you count penalties for the guys ahead. But He's now currently on the podium, followed by Boosted RB, Rexall in the McLaren in P5, Maldo P6 for the Alpine, Marcelo's found his way up into P7, CF23 has now found his way up into P8. This is good, good comebacks all the way up and down the grid, and as I say, good pace from everybody as well. This is making for some fantastic racing here this evening, and there is action literally everywhere you look. Dracaris not going to have the DRS from the guy in front, and actually has that red light flashing, and that signals to me and to the guy behind him that he's out of battery, or if not very low on the battery, so he's going to be a sitting duck down the straight. There it goes, Corey, P2 already, didn't even get to the braking zone, and actually Boosted RB says thank you very much, I'm going to have some of that as well. And within a straight, Dracaris has dropped 2 positions. He's now down into P4. I think he may have fought a little bit too hard for P2 earlier on, and probably should have accepted the loss of the position and continued fighting a bit better now. Now I think he's a bit of a sitting duck to everybody behind him, and he's now going to become a sitting duck for Rexall in that McLaren. Or is he going to pit this time by? Yes, he is. He's now into the pits goes the Ferrari. And that will promote a lot of the guys behind. Rexall now up into P4. Marcelo has now found his way into P5. Didn't see that move on, but he's managed to pull it off somehow. And Marcelo, there he goes. There's a little bit of contact there. Lawn picking up a penalty now. A little bit of contact. I don't think that's going to do anything. It was sort of the tip of the nose there to the gearbox of Marcelo for Maldo. So I think he's going to be absolutely fine. But the light flashing on Maldo's car. And he's sliding every which way, and now CF is going to have a look, and he's going to be massively under threat from the guy behind. That's not how you wanted to take the first sector. He's now going to be a bit of a cork in a bottle here, I think, for the guys behind. Mr. CF is absolutely thinking about lining it up. He's going to have the DRS as Maldo has dropped out of the DRS from Marcelo in front. So this should be a slam dunk move for CF in that Aston Martin, and he should pick up P6 come the end of the straight. The light flashing there as well. So has he got the move done? Yeah, he's got it done even before the braking zone once again. Yeah, good move there from Mr. CF. Makes his way up into P6 again. I think he started towards the back of this grid. So a good move and good racing from him so far. Has got a penalty, but I tell you what, we'll find out what sort of penalties have we got here. So actually, I think Mr. CF there, he could serve his in the pit stops next time by, but out with a 3 seconds. So is Dracaris, Lawn and Dom. And 9 seconds for Funky Fidget. That's not how his debut would want to be panning out. As he has picked up 3 penalties now, I'm assuming for track limit violations, as Al now makes his way into the pits. Those medium tyres have begun to give up the ghost, and he thinks it's time to now switch on to a fresh set of tyres. What's he gone on to? He's gone on to the hard tyre. So, potentially the undercut could be working here for him, but you have to think that these guys that started on the harder compounder tyre are going to go deeper in this race, and they'll be on a quicker tyre come the end of this race. But from what we've seen so far, you would argue there's not much difference between the lap times of the 2 tyres, as we just see there Boosted picking up a time penalty, and Corey obviously now inheriting the lead, and the last to first challenge is absolutely on. What an amazing drive from Corey so far in the Haas American-owned team. He's gone from the back of the grid serving a qualifying ban. He may as well have started from pit lane, is kind of how it sort of pans out for them. But obviously they do get to start on the grid. You can't select pit lane starts, which I think would be a very neat feature if they would add it for next year's game. However, back of the grid currently now, your leading car. P1 for Corey 42. After 14 laps of this Grand Prix. That is absolutely amazing for him, and we have reached the halfway point of this Grand Prix as well. And as I was saying about undercuts, look at that. Al is fighting with Basher, and you could argue there that Basher has really been putting in a good shift. As Dracaris also fighting with her, didn't even notice. Dracaris managed to get past Al there through the sort of tight Hockenheimish section, and makes his way up into P10. All of these guys having penalties to serve, so they are probably all fighting for the track position that they are looking at. As, yeah, Basher, P9 currently, but you would argue he's potentially fighting for the lead, or at least with the lead drivers, as now Jakaris makes a move into T1. And the Ferrari getting the job done nice and easy there with the enabling of DRS. And as I say, it's a nice wide entry to T1, so you can absolutely send it up the inside. And you can sort of block pass on there very easily, as well as Maldo, F1, now picking up a time penalty himself. And you do wonder, as Al picks up another time penalty, pushing it too hard and fast, getting loose with the track limits. And that's going to be disappointing for him come the end of this race. You wonder where this is going to, where all of these finishing positions are sort of going to end up by the time we do see that checkered flag. Still got half the race to go, and a lot of these drivers picking up penalties. So I'm wondering, is the race even going to be sort of won on track, or is it going to be sort of, that is not what you want to see? Basher forcing his way past Jakaris in that Ferrari. Bit of contact between the two of them, and I wonder, is that going to be investigated, as Jakaris absolutely sends it. Block pass galore, you would argue, that one, but I think he's got it done. What a move there from Jakaris. That one absolutely is legal, and I think he just sort of thought, well, you know what, if you're going to push past me, I'm going to force the pass on you. And unfortunately now picks up a time penalty in doing so. Oh, sorry, hitting the mic there, but that was a fantastic move. So, there we are, making their way forward. Jakaris now finds his way up into P4. There's the... no, boys. That was very late on the brakes from Basher there in the Ferrari, and he's got the pace to be on the podium, to even win this race. No, look, calm it down, get back into a rhythm, you'll be fine. It's getting a bit silly out there now, getting a little bit desperate, one might call it. But Basher finds himself behind Rexel's McLaren, and he's sitting into P8, and, well, that's caused the safety car nonetheless. But I wonder, is that a rage quit moment there? It looked as though it could have been, as Basher's day's gone from bad to worse. And I wonder, was that on purpose, or was that genuinely, a loss of control from the car? As I would argue, it looks a bit suspicious. I would argue. I'm not sure what the penalty is for causing a safety car like that, or rage quitting because you're unhappy with how things are turning out. It's a shame, really. He had the pace. I think he could have easily have made his way back through the grid and towards the front end of this pack, of this grid, if you like. But this is played into the hands nicely of those hard compound runners. I think this is potentially the perfect lap to pit onto a medium compound tyre. You've got 11 laps to go, and this is going to play into the hands beautifully of the guys out front on that hard compound tyre. Are they actually going to come out ahead of the guys behind? Safety car not yet picked up the lead car, as that is still Corey. This has played out beautifully for Corey. He's managed to pit exactly when he wants. He's on the perfect tyre. He's in the perfect position. And this has been, so far, the perfect race for Corey in the Haas. He said to me he's going to go for moves. He said, make sure you keep an eye on me, as he wants to be fighting today. And, want to see some nice overtakes for the stream. I don't think he was expecting to currently be leading the Grand Prix, as we now make our way round for lap 17 under safety car. He's going to be absolutely ecstatic at this point. He did. He said he doesn't think he's going to be fighting for the win. But here he is, currently looking for the win. That's absolutely fantastic from him there. Micello bringing himself back into contention. P4 currently on those medium compound tyres. Nolan, out of nowhere, has found his way into P5. And he's just put on a fresh set of medium tyres, so don't count these people out, There's still time in this race. And as I always say, anything can happen, and it normally does. This will also bring back the rookie of F50 Max into contention. He's 34 seconds down, but come the end of the safety car, he'll be on the back of the pack. No penalties, and he's got pace. We know he has pace. He qualified quite well round here, so we know he's got the pace to make positions up. And judging by the cars ahead of him, he should make positions up, whether he gets past them or not, as there's quite a few penalties out there up and down the field. Al has been the unfortunate sort of loser, I guess, in all of this. He's currently sitting P10, but I think he also pitted for a fresh set of tyres. So, once again, don't count him out either, as we try and find what tyres. There we go, we can see what tyres everybody is on. I think pretty much everybody's on a similar set of medium tyres, as Max is actually on a set of hard compound tyres to the end of this Grand Prix, potentially, but that could bode well for him towards the last few laps. He could be, quicker than that medium compounded tyre, but I wonder if he's going to be missing out at the restart to begin with. So, I mean, you can look at it both ways. I think the medium tyre definitely the tyre of choice, in my opinion. But if I think we'll just double check he doesn't come in. He shouldn't. No, he's going round. Good boy, good lad. Yeah, he's heading round, and he'll still be on a good tyre come the end of the Grand Prix. There's your penalties for everybody. 6 seconds for Dracaris there, 3 seconds for Boosted. So Dracaris is going to be looking to make a gap between himself and everybody behind him, as big enough so that he doesn't lose his position come the end of the finish of the Grand Prix. 10 laps remaining, and we're currently still sitting under safety car. I want to take a drink because my throat is starting to get very dry as Al has left the session. That's a bit better. Well, lovely. A bit of Dr. Pepper. Not sponsored, obviously, but I will endorse Dr. Pepper until I die. It's my favourite drink. Can't live without it. I can. It's very difficult. Oh dear. Here's your current rundown then for drivers. We've got Corey 42, nobody expecting it, currently sitting in P1 in the Haas. Boosted has just left the session there as well. I wonder if that's a disconnect for him. I can't add them back, otherwise I would try. I don't have them. I don't think they race on Xbox. I think they're through the PC, and I don't have them on my my EA list, and I don't think I can actually during the race unless they are on Xbox. But either way, Boosted unfortunately leaving the session. I hope he can get back in before the race is done, or before we get going, as the safety car is in. There goes Dracaris leaving the session as well. And is this a lobby issue at this point? Or is this... I wonder. Well, either way you look at this, this is fantastic news for Corey, who's now going to restart this Grand Prix, rounds the final corner, and that's perfect start for him, because it means the two guys behind him that could potentially challenge him up into T1 are not, because they're not here. So they're going to be running around at a slower pace than what they would like, as Corey's now left the session. What has happened? Hang on, I'm going to have to check this. Have we had a bit of a lobby disconnect here? What's going on? I disconnected. I can't have disconnected. I'm still here. What's going on? I'm gonna check. I better double check. Just to make sure. I'm being told potentially the lobby has died, but not for every car. So how is this gonna play out? Are we? Do we stop here? Do we? Most of them have DC'd. I think most of them have actually disconnected. You can see a lot of disconnects up and down the field, but not everybody has done. So I do wonder, is this a lobby reset, or are we continuing? I don't know. I'm very confused at this point. Obviously, all the drivers that were sort of up there, as it now brings Corey into the pits. And this has absolutely ruined a lot of people's races, but I suppose we still continue on, as there is still a fight for the lead. It's now between Marcelo and Pikachu. And I do wonder, is this a lobby restart potentially? As I think a lot of drivers here have DC'd, boosted RB being one of them. Who else have we got DC'd here so far? We've had Dracaris DC, I think we've had Al, and we've had Corey, so actually I'm not sure if this is enough of people disconnecting to warrant a new lobby. And I'm not sure. Let me see if I can. Can I even invite people right now? I can't. I can't invite people during. I can't during the race. I really apologise. The commentary is being a bit downtrodden here as we try and sort this out for a lot of people. I can't during the race. I would love to, honestly. If I could invite all of them back, I absolutely would. But I can't, and I don't know what is going to happen here. And well, I think race is obviously continuing at this point, and Pikachu currently then your P1. But I don't know if there's enough people to have disconnected here to warrant the restart of the lobby. I'll just double check as we go down the field. Currently as it sits then, Pikachu P1, Marcelo P2, they're fighting it out for the lead. Nolan in the McLaren sitting P3, Maka P4, CF23 P5, Rexel in the other McLaren, he's sitting P6, Maldo F1, P7 for Alpine, there's Dom in P8 in the Haas, Lawn in the other McLaren, Mercedes even, and there's F50 Max, the rookie first time around for the Alfa Romeo. He sits P10, and then boosted Al, Funky Fidget not DC'd, but currently the bottom four of them have DC'd, and this is really unfortunate for well, this is actually unfortunate for the four that are DC'd. They were all front runners here in this race, and I feel most sorry for Corey, if I'm being completely honest. He hadn't put a foot wrong this evening, and his car now currently trundles round the back after it made him make another stop. But that's very disappointing for those four. And I don't think that, I think the way it works is they haven't finished 90 or 75% of the Grand Prix. I can't remember, I think it's 90%. Since they haven't finished that, they won't score points this time around, as I think we'll get back to the commentary for the race as it is playing out. CF23 potentially looking for a move on Rexel, as Maka has now made his way past Nolan in that other McLaren. The two McLarens now technically side by side on track, albeit 1.5 seconds separates them. But your current leader then, the unlikely Pikachu in the Alpine, being followed closely by Marcelo in the Red Bull. I don't think they were expecting this evening, but Maka not far behind the two of them. He's definitely he's nearly within that second window now that he's managed to get past Nolan, and potentially we could see him charge down and take the victory away from the other two. But we ride then, continuing this Grand Prix, lap 22 of any 28, 6 laps remaining now as we get into the crunchy end of this Grand Prix. As I can see Funky Fidget struggling to get past the DC'd, not DC'd, they're not disqualified, they've disconnected. That's DQ, they're disqualified, isn't it? Of course, what am I talking about? But he's struggling to even get past the DC'd players, and potentially one of them is going to potentially look for a move on him. But riding back up the field, Dom now looking to get past CF23 here as he drops, as CF has dropped back almost a second from the guy ahead. He just picks up the DRS. You don't think he'll have the slipstream. Can Dom potentially make a move up the inside? Has a look at it. Gets alongside, but I think CF's going to have the better drive out of the corner. That potentially could bring Lawn back into this. Now, can Lawn make up some positions in the fighting and jostling of positions between the Haas and the Aston Martin here? As Maka unable to get within that second gap of the guys ahead. And actually the gap has increased ever so slightly. Funky Fidget picking up another 3-second time penalty. And for the rookie, it's not the best start you would want. You know, F50 Max, he's not had the best race he would like. But at least he's not, you know, cutting the corners left, right and centre potentially, or running wide left, right and centre, shall we say, keeping his nose clean. And that's what we do like, as Dom now making the move on that Aston Martin, and there goes the Mercedes of Lawn. And that was a little bit aggressive coming back to the racing line. I think that could be seen as a little bit too cheeky, it's definitely too aggressive. It's definitely too aggressive, but move has been made, no one has died, so we continue on. But that was absolutely a little bit too much there. Has Micello potentially got enough on Sonic Pikachu to potentially battle for the win? These two are pulling away from the guys behind of Maka and Nolan, who are also then pulling away from the guys behind them. So we're now starting to get 2x2s as Nolan now looks to go for a move past Maka up the inside. This is not going to be helping Maka at all try and chase down the lead of this race, as he's going to have the better traction on exit is Maka, and gets the position right back. So Nolan's still struggling to get past the Mercedes then of Maka, but sitting within the DRS zone and then fighting it out is allowing the guys behind to catch up a little bit as well, as Funky Fidget has retired from this Grand Prix. He makes his way into the pits, and not to put it, I can't put it kindly really, because it's been a miserable afternoon for Funky Fidget, and an unfortunate afternoon for him as well. But he's your 5th retiree then of the Grand Prix. As we still ride on board now, Nolan darting to the left, wants the inside line then into T12. He's going to have the move done before they even make it to T12. That was a nice easy overtake by him, but these two battling it out is not helping that gap up front. It's increased, it's almost 3 seconds now between Micello and Nolan. And this is playing out nicely for the two up ahead. You know, pull away and fight about it over the last couple of laps. But Maka still in the hunt for P3, and I think he'll get it either way, as Nolan does have a penalty to his name. So Maka can finish just behind Nolan if he really wants to, and he will gladly pick up that final podium position. But if they keep squabbling, don't count out Rexel in the other McLaren. He's being chased by Dom in the Haas, and potentially we could see an overtake here. I don't think he's going to have the speed to do it into turn 1. But he wasn't quite alongside enough. Words do sometimes get away from me. I do babble as well, but I try my best. But yeah, 2 seconds now the gap between Rexel and Maka. And it has been closing the last couple of laps, as Maka has been fighting with Nolan up ahead. And it has now just increased a couple of attempts there through that sort of that first sector towards the end of it, up over the rise of 9, down through 10, the little kink of 10. It's flat out there, so it's not really a turn, but it is a kink and a turn. It's technically a turn, as Maka's now actually dropped out of the DRS zone of Nolan. So Nolan picking up the pace and actually now pulling away. The gap's still 3 seconds though, but if Nolan can pull out the gap and just dart off ahead and pull out potentially 3 seconds over the guy behind, can he steal the podium away? Could he steal that P3 for the end of the Grand Prix? As Dom has found a way past Rexel, it probably would have been down into T12 on the back straight. But the field now spreading out a little bit here between each other. But we've still got a fight for the lead, and we've still got a battle for the podium really as well. When you think about it, it's not over yet. 2 laps to go. Lap 26 now of 28. I say 2, it's 3 laps to go, including this one. Marcelo looking now in very close in behind Sonic Pikachu. And this is going to be a strategic battle, this one. Both of them, I think, pitted in on the same lap. So their tyres are going to be the same number of laps old, the same amount of grip. And it's going to be about who's got extra battery where, who's got the DRS when deploying it and when to save it. And it's going to be who can be quicker overall as well, of course. But the battle for the lead not over yet, and Nolan has now managed to pull out 1.2 seconds to Maka behind. Can he continue eking out that gap? Has Maka lost a little bit of traction? Has Maka's tyres begun to drop off? 1.4 is now the gap. 3 laps to go and about a second and a half for Nolan to clinch P3. I believe he's got 3 seconds. Let's double check that. It's 5. It's 5 seconds. Maybe not. Saying that, if it is 5 seconds, could he potentially lose out to his teammate Rexel from behind? Depending on what the gap is towards the end of the lap, as Dom is closing in on Maka and he's pulling Rexel along with him. And if it's a 5 second pit stop, a 5 second penalty for Nolan, I wonder, is Nolan going to lose the position to Maka and Rexel, as Rexel will gain 2 positions over Dom and Nolan? But that remains to be seen for the checkered flag. Before we even get to the checkered flag, we've still got a battle for the lead. Pikachu, currently your leader in the Alpine, as Maldo F1 picks up a penalty there. 3 second time penalty for him. And Marcelo only half a second behind him. 2 laps to go now. Let's see how this plays out. Pikachu in the Alpine, Marcelo in the Red Bull. It is not the first time either of these drivers have won, and I believe Marcelo is, he's fighting for the championship at this point, and Pikachu definitely could still be fighting for the championship if he continues to turn up. That is. But he's got a good number of points. I could double check the championship for you right now, actually. Should we have a quick look? What sort of standings have we got for the drivers? Marcelo, your current championship leader. Pikachu currently sitting P16, and he's a good few points actually behind the top there. So yeah, Marcelo currently the championship leader and currently looking for another win to his name to improve on that, as Boosted RB is the next closest rival, and I think he won't be scoring points this evening, which is a real shame because he was definitely up there to be scoring some good points this evening. Maka will be in the driver after that, but he currently sits P4, but he will potentially inherit P3, so he won't be gaining on Marcelo, but he'll be making sure that he sticks in with the fight. And the championship obviously not over yet. We now make our way onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. Can Marcelo get the move done and snatch the victory away from Pikachu? It's all to play for, and it's about to unfold right before our eyes. Through T1, 4 tenths is the gap. I think his best chance is going to come from the DRS zone down towards T12. So he's going to want to make sure he can just stick within a couple of attempts through this first sector now. Maggots and Beckett's-esque set of corners up through the rise towards T9. There it is, over the rise now. That's T9, I do apologise. Now T10 and down towards the DRS zone. It's less than half a second between these two. Marcelo wants to get it neatly tucked into the apex of that corner, get early on the power. It's less than half a second. It's 6 tenths now. He's increased it a little bit, Pikachu on exit, but all of the DRS is going to be deployed now towards T12. Is this the move for Marcelo? Can he get it done on the brakes? He had a little bit of a sniff. He's right tucked in behind. 2 tenths separate the two of them. The red light flashing on Pikachu's Alpine, indicating he's out of the ERS to save himself from the clutches of Marcelo. Now, can he get the drive through the final set of corners here? This is, as I say, modelled after Istanbul Park's turn 8. Lovely triple apex right hand. He's got 2 corners to do it. Has Marcelo potentially got the pace to get a move done into the final corner, or is Pikachu going to snatch the victory away from him? I think that's it all done for. Well done, these two. That was a fantastic result, fantastic racing. Nolan obviously having to serve his 5 seconds there. Where's that going to finish him? as Rexel picks up P5. There it is. Yeah, Misello P2. Less than half a second between the two. Maka picking up P3. That's your podium. So, there it is. What a fantastic and dramatic end to this Grand Prix. That was fantastic to watch. As I say, absolute scenes as well. As we lost a lot of quick drivers from that as they DC'd from the lobby, and it's really unfortunate for the results of those drivers. It said there Pikachu driver of the day, and fair play to him. He drove fantastically well too. I'm sorry though, my driver of the day has to be Corey. And until he was DC'd, he has driven a faultless race. He drove a faultless race. None of that was his fault. A problem with the lobby. A few of them have DC'd, so he's not alone in this, but that's got to be painful. He went right from the back of the grid and he was P1 comfortably after the safety car as well. He had the right tyre on and he had the pace, and I think he probably would have won the race this evening, but that's sometimes how these things play out. Fastest lap then goes to Pikachu and he takes the victory as well. Well done to him in that Alpine. That's a good amount of points there. Misello, fantastic drive. He brings home P2. Maka, your P3. Nolan manages to sleep up P4 for McLaren, and Rexel P5 for McLaren as well. That's a good haul of points there for that team. Mr. CF23, he picks up P6 for the Aston Martin. Dom managing to recover back towards P7 in the end of that race for Haas. Lorne in the Mercedes, I believe he started where he finished. Oh no, he didn't. He dropped one position, but that's still very consistent from him there. Maldo making his way to P9. Good result from him from the start of that race. F50 Max. Rookie this time out, and I think he did well in the end of all of that. And an unfortunate result for the rest of them here. And that makes up your entire result then for Austin. But well done to Pikachu, well done to everyone involved, and what a fantastic race that was to commentate over for you this evening. I had a great time in doing so, but thank you for tuning in. If you did, hopefully I will see you next week for round 16 of the GRL, and from me, I've been Ashley, I've been your host this evening, and we'll see you next week. Good night.